Hello and welcome to Data Center Review Live 2026. This event is all about hearing from some of the industry's leading voices on the big issues shaping the UK's data center sector. Alongside the main stage sessions, we're also catching up one-to-one with key industry voices. I'm joined by Oliver Sanders from Carrier to get his perspective on where the industry is heading, what needs to change, and how data centers can scale quickly while delivering responsibly. Oliver, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So the UK data centre sector is under pressure to scale quickly but also responsibly. From your perspective, what's the single biggest challenge facing the industry right now?
It's quite hard sometimes to put it into a single. Everyone's at the moment is talking about, if there's power, planning or anything like that in capacity and what we're trying to do. But, those are the things that the demand is already there. So the demand is there, but we can't control some of these things. So what we can control is how we can educate our people, how we can educate the market, how we can actually build that data center brand to where we need it to be. I do see a lot of things with awareness of data centers at the moment. And, every bit of news you'll see could have some bad press about it. I think it's about everyone coming together a little bit to go and promote all the good things that we do.
It's unsurprising that AI and high-performance computing is leading the conversation at this event and throughout the industry more widely. What do operators need to rethink most urgently when designing or upgrading facilities for these workloads?
I think ultimately from the beginning, they need to understand, data centers are utilizing a lot of heat, right? There's 4 destinations of where that heat can go. We've got water, a large body of water, we've got evaporation, we've got air, or we've got heat reuse. Understanding that from the outset is key, and how we can join the dots between these elements of physics to be able to remove that heat is really where we can start to gain efficiencies. When you look at retrofits of data centers, I see this key. You've got power already there. You can utilize these existing data centers, enhance them by gaining efficiency upgrades and giving some back to the community, be it via heat or something like that, reuse of heat.
We hear about this surge in growth in AI performance, AI infrastructure, but one of the big challenges that crops up time and time again is access to power. How should the industry balance its growth ambitions with the realities of power access?
We as Carrier can't obviously control the grid network or anything like that, but what we can do is offer efficiency upgrades to our equipment. We have new upgrades coming through our products continuously. There's continuous improvement. Our new free boost technology, for example, is bringing that PUE, so the power usage effectiveness, down to around 1.2, is what we're able to do there by utilizing enhancements within the chillers that we're offering. I think that's really where our part is to play, is that this is the power, this is what we've got. The grid connections at the moment are 7 years or so, but in that time, what can we improve to try and bring that PUE down further and increase those efficiencies and decrease the carbon footprint?
This growing need for power comes at a time when the nation's also trying to decarbonise. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for the industry to reduce its environmental impact while also pursuing its growth strategy?
The UK, I'd say with heat reuse is such a key topic at the moment. Carrier has the product, the efficiency and the product as well, with the heat pump side of things, as well as the chiller side and giving that cooling load. It's really key to understand that the technology's there. The technology has been there for a long time. Accepting the heat is the discussion that needs to be happening. The UK doesn't have at the moment the infrastructure. It's a growing infrastructure to be able to provide or utilize that waste heat. I see many data center providers at the moment being able to have connections to their units to actually be able to provide this waste heat, but it can't go anywhere because our infrastructure is still building that brand. It's so important to make sure that data centers are seen to be giving something back, instead of what you read about most of the time is they're taking all the water, they're increasing our energy bills and everything like that. It's really important to make sure that we get the good parts of the story correct. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. I looked at, there was a recent survey that came out where 89% of the people didn't understand what a data center was. And I think 16 of that haven't even heard of a data center. So those sort of things in building that that brand and building that correct marketing out there into the data center market is really key.
One of the biggest challenges, and something that was discussed on the stage today, is public trust. The industry is struggling with a communication issue and has been vilified, as we discussed, by many sections of society. So what does it need to do better to build public trust?
We really, really need to share these experiences more. You know, if you're supplying to a data center, if you're building a data center, we need to be able to, more case studies, open it up a little bit. The data center world can be very, very secretive sometimes, in building these big ominous buildings. We need to be, even a building, you can color it a little bit more, make it stand out a little bit more. Get people to understand that this is giving some free heating to this school over here. I think there's another element that I've seen as well, and I've seen some of our customers do this recently, where they're building a data center in an area, and then they're going into local schools and explaining. It's education to our kids and everything like that on this, what is critical infrastructure, is so important.
Of course, meeting future demand isn't just going to come from new build sites, although they're the ones that will get the most opposition. Yeah. So a lot will come from upgrades, retrofits, and operational improvements across existing facilities. So what do operators need to prioritise when they're modernising legacy infrastructure? I think
I spoke earlier just about understanding where you need to move and transfer your heat, but you also need to understand all the other components of what's running in the data center. How can we join the dots between your chillers, your cryo units, your racks, everything like that. And by utilizing, with Carrier, we've got QuantumLeap, for example, which is utilizing the pillars within our business. So controls, DSIM, service, rentals, equipment, joining the dots between that to gain the best efficiencies from it as much as possible.
Looking ahead to the future, the next generation of data centers, what do you think is going to define the leaders over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think more people that can do that education piece. You've got leaders in this data center sector, and Carrier is one of them. The more that we can publicize the good of what we're doing, technology is one thing, and that's evolving. It's evolving, and whoever it can move as quickly as the market is moving and put that investment in where it needs to, they'll be the ones at the forefront.
Oliver, thanks so much for joining us and for sharing your perspective. For more conversations and insight from Data Center Review Live 2026, head to the DCR website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or follow us across our social channels. But for now, thanks for watching.